If you're over 60 and relying on protein powder to maintain your muscle mass, what I'm about to share might completely change how you think about nutrition. A 72-year-old patient of mine was spending over $100 monthly on supplements, drinking protein shakes twice daily, yet still losing muscle strength and experiencing digestive problems. When we switched her to a specific natural food, the transformation in just 8 weeks was remarkable. Her muscle strength improved, her digestion normalized, and she saved money while actually enjoying her meals again. I'm Dr. Emily Hartman, and I've been practicing geriatric medicine for over 15 years. Throughout my career, I've witnessed countless patients struggle with muscle loss as they age, desperately trying every supplement on the market. Today, I want to share something that might surprise you about protein sources and muscle health, especially for those of us in our golden years. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you never miss another health tip made especially for you. If you enjoy this video, please leave your questions and video suggestions in the comments. I read every single one, and it helps me create more content to help people just like you. Let me start by explaining why this matters so much. After age 50, we naturally begin losing muscle mass at a rate of about 1 to 2% per year. This condition, called sarcopenia, isn't just about looking less toned. It's about maintaining independence, preventing falls, protecting your bones, and keeping your metabolism healthy. Many people turn to protein powders as a convenient solution, and while they're not inherently bad, there's a natural alternative that works even better for most older adults. The food I'm talking about is eggs. Yes, simple, humble eggs. But before you dismiss this as too obvious or worry about cholesterol myths, let me explain exactly why eggs are uniquely superior for rebuilding and maintaining muscle, especially as we age. Let me tell you about Senora Maria da Silva, a 75-year-old retired teacher from Curitiba who came to my clinic last year. Maria had been religiously consuming protein shakes for 3 years after her daughter convinced her it was necessary to prevent muscle loss. She spent considerable money on high-quality whey protein isolate, mixing it into smoothies every morning and after her afternoon walks. Despite her dedication, Maria noticed she was getting weaker. She struggled to carry her groceries, had trouble getting up from her favorite low chair, and felt constantly bloated and gassy. The protein powder, which was supposed to be her solution, seemed to be causing more problems than it solved. When I examined Maria and reviewed her diet, I discovered several issues. First, she was consuming her protein powder on an empty stomach, which was irritating her digestive system. Second, the powder contained artificial sweeteners that were disrupting her gut bacteria. Third, and most importantly, she wasn't getting the complete nutritional package that Whole Foods provide. Her body needed more than just isolated protein to build muscle effectively. I suggested Maria replace her morning protein shake with 3 whole eggs, cooked any way she preferred. She was hesitant at first, worried about cholesterol and whether eggs could possibly be as effective as her expensive supplement. But she trusted me and decided to try it for 2 months. The results were extraordinary. Within 4 weeks, her bloating disappeared completely. By 8 weeks, she noticed genuine improvements in her strength. She could carry her shopping bags without strain, and her energy levels throughout the day were more stable than they had been in years. When we tested her muscle mass using bioelectrical impedance, we found she had actually gained lean muscle tissue, something she hadn't achieved despite years of protein powder supplementation. Now, let me explain the science behind why eggs work so remarkably well for muscle building, especially in mature adults. Eggs contain the highest biological value of protein of any food, meaning your body can use nearly all of the protein they provide. Each large egg contains approximately 6 to 7 grams of complete protein, with all 9 essential amino acids in the exact ratios your muscles need to synthesize new tissue. But here's what makes eggs truly special compared to protein powders. They contain leucine, an essential amino acid that acts like a key turning on your body's muscle-building machinery. Eggs provide leucine in a highly bioavailable form, packaged with other nutrients that enhance its absorption and utilization. Protein powders often contain leucine too, But without the supporting cast of vitamins and minerals that whole eggs provide, your body can't use it as efficiently. Inside the yolk, which many people mistakenly discard, you'll find vitamin D, which is absolutely critical for muscle function and strength. You'll also find choline, which supports the nerve signals that tell your muscles to contract. There's selenium for reducing inflammation, and B vitamins that help convert protein into actual muscle tissue. This is where whole foods shine compared to supplements. Protein powder gives you isolated protein, but eggs give you a complete nutritional system designed by nature to build strong, healthy tissue. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, please comment below to show you're with me. It helps me understand what content is most helpful for you. Let me share another case that illustrates a different aspect of this issue. Senor Roberto Oliveira, a 68-year-old retired mechanic from São Paulo, had been struggling with weight management and muscle loss simultaneously. Roberto's doctor had recommended protein supplementation to preserve his muscle while he worked on losing some excess weight. Roberto chose a popular plant-based protein powder, thinking it would be healthier for his heart than animal-based options. For months, Roberto diligently mixed his plant protein powder into water twice daily, reducing his overall food intake to create a calorie deficit. He did lose weight, but he felt terrible. He was constantly hungry. His workouts felt exhausting rather than energizing. And despite the protein supplementation, his muscle tone seemed to be disappearing along with the fat. He was losing weight, but in all the wrong ways. His clothes fit looser, but he looked frail rather than fit. His wife noticed he seemed depressed and had lost his usual enthusiasm for life. When Roberto came to see me, I could immediately see the problem. He was undernourished, not just underfed. His body was breaking down muscle tissue for energy because he wasn't providing it with the complete nutrition it needed. We made several changes, but the most important one was replacing his protein shakes with whole foods, primarily eggs combined with vegetables and healthy fats. I had Roberto start his day with a 3-egg omelet filled with spinach, tomatoes, and a bit of cheese. This single meal provided not just protein, but also fiber, vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, and importantly, satiety. He felt full and satisfied for hours, which stopped his constant snacking on crackers and bread that had been sabotaging his efforts. For his afternoon snack, we added 2 hard-boiled eggs with some vegetables. The transformation was remarkable. Within 6 weeks, Roberto reported feeling stronger and more energetic. His workouts improved dramatically. He continued losing weight, but now he was losing fat while maintaining and even building muscle. His face regained its healthy color, his mood lifted, and he told me he felt like himself again. When we measured his body composition after 3 months, the results were exactly what we hoped for. He had lost 15 pounds of fat while gaining 3 pounds of muscle. More importantly, his metabolic health markers improved significantly. But wait, I know what many of you are thinking. What about cholesterol? Won't eating eggs every day raise my cholesterol and increase my heart disease risk? This is one of the most persistent nutritional myths, and it's time we addressed it with current scientific understanding. For decades, we were told to limit eggs because they contain dietary cholesterol. However, extensive research over the past 20 years has shown that for most people, dietary cholesterol from eggs has minimal impact on blood cholesterol levels. Your liver produces most of your body's cholesterol, and when you consume more cholesterol from food, your liver simply produces less to compensate. The cholesterol in your bloodstream is much more influenced by the saturated and trans fats you consume, along with your overall diet quality, body weight, and activity level. In fact, multiple large studies have found no association between moderate egg consumption and heart disease risk in healthy individuals. Some research even suggests that the nutrients in eggs, particularly the high-quality protein and beneficial fats, may actually support heart health when eggs replace less nutritious breakfast options like pastries or processed cereals. That said, there are individuals who are hyper-responders to dietary cholesterol, meaning their blood cholesterol levels do increase when they eat cholesterol-rich foods. If you have existing heart disease, diabetes, or a genetic predisposition to high cholesterol, you should absolutely discuss egg consumption with your personal physician. For most people, though, consuming up to 7 eggs per week, and possibly more, appears to be perfectly safe and beneficial. Let me tell you about Senora Ana Paula Costa, a 70-year-old retired nurse from Belo Horizonte, who perfectly illustrates this point. Ana Paula had been avoiding eggs for 20 years because her doctor in the 1990s told her they would raise her cholesterol. She had high cholesterol that was well controlled with medication, but she was experiencing progressive muscle weakness that concerned both of us. Her diet consisted primarily of oatmeal for breakfast, salads for lunch, and small portions of chicken or fish for dinner. She was getting adequate overall protein, but her distribution throughout the day was poor, and she was missing key nutrients. After discussing the current research on eggs and cholesterol, Ana Paula agreed to a trial. We added 2 eggs to her breakfast 4 times per week, monitoring her cholesterol levels closely. After 3 months, we were both pleased to discover that her cholesterol levels remained stable, well within healthy ranges with her medication. More importantly, her muscle strength improved noticeably. She regained the ability to garden without pain, something she had given up 2 years earlier. Her balance improved, reducing her fear of falling that had been limiting her activities. Ana Paula told me that discovering she could safely eat eggs again felt like getting back a part of her life she had lost. She had always loved eggs and had missed them terribly. Now, she enjoys them regularly. Her nutrition has improved dramatically, and at 70 years old, she's stronger than she was at 65. She recently started volunteering at a community garden, something that requires physical stamina she didn't have a year ago. Now, if that surprised you, wait until you hear about the timing and preparation aspects that can maximize the muscle-building benefits of eggs. This is where many people, even those eating eggs regularly, miss important opportunities to optimize their results. Your body's ability to build muscle depends not just on getting enough protein, but on getting it at the right times and in the right combinations. Research shows that distributing your protein evenly throughout the day, rather than consuming most of it in one meal, leads to better muscle protein synthesis, especially as we age. Older adults need approximately 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal to maximally stimulate muscle building. 3 to 4 eggs provide roughly 18 to 28 grams of protein, putting you right in that optimal range. The timing of protein consumption also matters. Consuming protein within an hour or 2 after resistance exercise provides your muscles with the building blocks they need when they're most primed to grow stronger. But here's something most people don't realize. Having adequate protein at breakfast may be even more important for older adults. Research suggests that older muscles are less sensitive to the muscle-building effects of protein, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. Starting your day with a high-protein breakfast seems to help overcome this resistance and set a positive tone for muscle metabolism throughout the entire day. Let me introduce you to Senor Carlos Mendez, a 65-year-old retired firefighter from Rio de Janeiro who discovered this principle the hard way. Carlos was an active man who exercised regularly, including weight training 3 times per week. He was eating plenty of protein, but he consumed most of it at dinner. His typical day included coffee and toast for breakfast, maybe a sandwich for lunch, and then a large dinner with chicken or beef, rice, and beans. He was getting adequate total protein, but the distribution was far from optimal. Carlos came to see me because despite his consistent exercise routine, he wasn't seeing the muscle development he expected. He felt frustrated that younger men at his gym seemed to build strength easily while he struggled to maintain what he had. When I reviewed his eating pattern, the problem became clear immediately. His muscles were essentially fasting for protein all day, then receiving a large dose at night when his body couldn't use it all efficiently. The excess protein was being used for energy or stored as fat rather than building muscle. We restructured Carlos's diet without changing his total protein intake significantly. We moved a substantial portion of his protein to breakfast and lunch. His new breakfast included a 3-egg scramble with vegetables and a slice of whole grain toast. His lunch incorporated some chicken or fish with plenty of vegetables. His dinner remained protein-rich but slightly smaller. We also made sure he had a protein-containing snack, often a couple of hard-boiled eggs after his workouts. The results were dramatic and came faster than Carlos expected. Within a month, he noticed his muscles recovering better after workouts. By 2 months, he was lifting heavier weights than he had in years. By 3 months, he had visible muscle development that had eluded him for the past decade, despite consistent training. His body composition scan showed he had gained 7 pounds of lean muscle while losing 4 pounds of fat. At 65, Carlos achieved the physique he had been working toward unsuccessfully for years, simply by timing his protein intake more strategically. Carlos told me something profound during one of our follow-up appointments. He said that for years, he thought his age was the limiting factor in his fitness goals. He had resigned himself to gradual decline, believing that building muscle after 60 was nearly impossible. Discovering that simple nutritional timing could make such a significant difference gave him a sense of control over his aging process that he had lost. He realized that age wasn't the barrier. Outdated nutritional habits were the barrier. Now let's talk about preparation methods, because this can significantly impact the nutritional value and digestibility of eggs. The way you cook your eggs affects both how much of their nutrition you can absorb and how easily your digestive system can process them. The protein in eggs is actually more digestible when cooked than when raw. Cooking denatures the protein structure, making it easier for your digestive enzymes to break it down and absorb. However, overcooking can reduce the bioavailability of some nutrients, particularly certain vitamins. The ideal cooking method preserves the liquid or slightly runny yolk while fully cooking the white. This might be soft-boiled eggs, poached eggs, or gently scrambled eggs cooked at lower heat. Hard-boiled eggs are perfectly fine and convenient, especially for meal prep, though you may lose a tiny amount of some heat-sensitive nutrients. Fried eggs can also be healthy if you use a small amount of a healthy fat like olive oil or butter, which actually helps you absorb the fat-soluble vitamins in the yolk. What you want to avoid is cooking eggs at very high heat until they're brown or dry, which can create oxidized cholesterol and reduce nutrient quality. Senora Beatriz Santos, a 73-year-old retired accountant from Fortaleza, learned this lesson through digestive discomfort. Beatriz had enthusiastically adopted my recommendation to eat more eggs, but she was preparing them in a way that caused her problems. She loved scrambled eggs, but was cooking them over high heat with lots of butter until they were quite brown and dry. She also tended to eat them very quickly without chewing thoroughly because she was always rushing in the mornings. Beatrice began experiencing significant indigestion and bloating after her egg breakfasts. She was disappointed because she had been excited about the potential benefits, but felt eggs didn't agree with her. When we discussed her preparation method and eating habits, the problem became clear. The overcooked dry eggs were harder to digest, and eating quickly without proper chewing was making things worse. We made simple adjustments. Beatrice started cooking her scrambled eggs over medium-low heat, stirring frequently, and removing them from the pan while still slightly moist. She also committed to sitting down and eating mindfully, chewing each bite thoroughly. She added some fresh tomatoes and avocado to her plate for additional fiber and nutrients. These simple changes made all the difference. Her digestive issues disappeared completely, and she began enjoying her egg breakfasts immensely. She told me it felt like sitting down to a proper, nourishing meal rather than gulping down food before rushing out the door. This mindful approach improved not just her digestion, but her entire morning routine and stress level. For those of you who are vegetarian or have ethical concerns about egg consumption, I want to address this respectfully. While eggs are an excellent protein source for those who choose to eat them, they're certainly not the only option for building muscle. However, if you do eat eggs, choosing high-quality sources matters both for your health and for aligning with your values. Eggs from pasture-raised chickens contain more omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals than eggs from conventionally raised hens. These chickens live in conditions that are more humane and natural, which may be important to you beyond just the nutritional differences. Now, let's address the comparison with protein powders more directly, because I don't want to suggest that protein supplements are bad or useless. They have their place, particularly for certain individuals and situations. The key is understanding when whole food sources like eggs are superior, and when supplements might be helpful. Additions. Protein powders can be convenient for people with very high protein needs, such as serious athletes or bodybuilders. They can be useful for people with difficulty chewing or swallowing who need easily consumable nutrition. They can be helpful when traveling, or in situations where preparing whole foods is impractical. Some people genuinely enjoy protein shakes and find them a pleasant part of their routine. However, for most older adults trying to prevent or reverse muscle loss, whole food protein sources like eggs offer several significant advantages. First, they provide satiety that isolated protein often doesn't match. You'll feel fuller and satisfied longer after eating eggs compared to drinking a protein shake with equivalent protein content. This helps with weight management and reduces unhealthy snacking. Second, whole foods require chewing, which signals your brain to register that you're eating and triggers appropriate digestive processes. Liquid calories often bypass these important signals. Third, and most importantly, eggs provide a complete nutritional package that supplements simply cannot match. Señor Fernando Lima, a 69-year-old retired electrician from Porto Alegre, experienced this difference dramatically. Fernando had been using protein supplements for years, mixing them into elaborate smoothies with fruits and nut butters. He was spending over 80 Rs per week on protein powder and smoothie ingredients. Despite consuming plenty of protein, he was overweight and struggling with blood sugar instability. His energy would spike after his protein smoothies, then crash a few hours later, leaving him feeling shaky and desperate for more food. The problem was that Fernando's smoothies, while containing protein, also contained enormous amounts of sugar from fruit and honey he added to make them taste better. The liquid form meant his blood sugar spiked rapidly. The protein powder he was using also contained added sugars and artificial ingredients that were contributing to his metabolic issues. When Fernando switched to whole food breakfasts centered on eggs with vegetables and a modest amount of whole grain toast or sweet potato, everything changed. His blood sugar stabilized dramatically. He no longer experienced the energy crashes that had plagued him for years. He felt satisfied after meals without the constant hunger and cravings. Most remarkably, he began losing weight without trying, simply because his appetite normalized. Over 6 months, Fernando lost 23 pounds while maintaining his muscle mass. His doctor was able to reduce his diabetes medication. Fernando told me he couldn't believe that something as simple as replacing processed supplements with real food could have such a profound impact on his health and quality of life. Let me share one more important consideration, especially for those of you taking medications or managing chronic health conditions. Whole eggs provide nutrients that can interact beneficially with various medications and conditions in ways that isolated protein supplements don't. For example, if you're taking statins for cholesterol, eggs provide CoQ10, a nutrient that statins deplete, and that's important for muscle health and energy production. If you're taking blood pressure medication, eggs provide potassium, which supports healthy blood pressure. If you have diabetes, eggs provide chromium, which helps with blood sugar regulation. These synergistic nutritional benefits are part of why whole foods are so powerful. Senora Mariana Ferreira, a 71-year-old retired librarian from Brasilia, discovered this when she was struggling with fatigue and muscle weakness, despite taking several medications for her health conditions. Mariana was managing type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol with medication. Her doctors had told her to watch her diet, which she interpreted to mean eating as little fat and cholesterol as possible. Her diet consisted mainly of salads, fruits, low-fat yogurt, and lean chicken breast. She avoided eggs completely due to cholesterol fears. Mariana's medications were controlling her numbers, but she felt awful. She was weak, tired, and couldn't enjoy activities she loved like walking with her grandchildren or tending her garden. When I reviewed her diet and medication list, I saw that while her medical conditions were numerically well managed, her nutrition was severely inadequate. She wasn't getting enough healthy fats, which her brain and hormones needed. She wasn't getting enough of certain vitamins and minerals that her medications were depleting. With her cardiologist's approval and close monitoring, we gradually reintroduced eggs into Mariana's diet, along with other nutrient-dense whole foods like avocados, nuts, and olive oil. We started conservatively with 2 eggs 3 times per week, monitoring her blood work carefully. Her cholesterol remained stable on her medication, but her energy and strength improved dramatically. We gradually increased to eating eggs most days of the week as her body responded positively. Within 3 months, Mariana felt like a different person. Her fatigue lifted, her muscle strength returned, and she was back to walking with her grandchildren and managing her garden with ease. Her blood sugar control actually improved, likely because the protein and fat from eggs helped stabilize her blood sugar levels. At her 6-month checkup, her doctor was impressed with her overall improvement and confirmed that her cardiovascular markers remained healthy. Mariana told me with tears in her eyes that she had resigned herself to a diminished life, thinking her decline was inevitable with her health conditions. Discovering that proper nutrition could restore so much of her vitality was life-changing. So, what should you do with all this information? Here are my practical recommendations. If you're currently relying primarily on protein powders for your protein intake, consider gradually transitioning to whole food sources, with eggs as a cornerstone. You don't have to give up protein supplements entirely if you enjoy them or find them convenient, but try to make them supplemental rather than primary. Start your day with 2 to 3 eggs prepared in a way you enjoy. Combine them with vegetables for fiber and additional nutrients. Add a modest portion of whole grain toast or sweet potato if you want some healthy carbohydrates. This breakfast will keep you satisfied, provide your muscles with the protein they need when they're most receptive, and give you stable energy throughout the morning. If you exercise, try to include some protein, possibly eggs, within a couple of hours after your workout. This doesn't need to be immediately after, but within that window, your muscles are particularly ready to use protein for repair and growth. A couple of hard-boiled eggs make an excellent portable post-workout snack. Aim for protein at every meal, distributed relatively evenly throughout the day. This might mean eggs for breakfast, some chicken or fish for lunch, and legumes or meat for dinner, with snacks like hard-boiled eggs, nuts, or Greek yogurt between meals if needed. For older adults, this distribution is more effective for muscle building than getting most of your protein in one large meal. Don't fear the yolk. Eat whole eggs, not just the whites. The yolk contains the majority of the vitamins, minerals, and beneficial fats that make eggs such a powerful food. Unless you have specific medical restrictions, whole eggs are the way to go. Choose quality eggs when possible. Pasture-raised or omega-3 enriched eggs offer additional nutritional benefits compared to conventional eggs. They cost more, but given that eggs are generally inexpensive compared to protein supplements, the upgrade is often affordable. Cook eggs gently to preserve nutrients and improve digestibility. Avoid burning or overcooking them. Soft-boiled, poached, gently scrambled, or fried in a small amount of healthy fat are all excellent options. Most importantly, if you have existing health conditions, especially diabetes, heart disease, or kidney disease, or if you take multiple medications, discuss these dietary changes with your healthcare provider before making significant modifications. For most people, eggs are safe and beneficial, but individual circumstances vary, and your doctor can help you make the best choices for your specific situation. Remember, rebuilding and maintaining muscle as we age isn't about finding a perfect supplement or magical solution. It's about providing your body with complete, high-quality nutrition in a form it can use effectively. Eggs offer that in a simple, affordable, delicious package that has nourished humans for thousands of years. The patients I've shared with you today all thought they needed expensive supplements to maintain their health and strength. What they actually needed was to return to nutritious whole foods that provide not just protein, but the complete array of nutrients your body needs to thrive. Eggs are one of nature's most perfect foods for muscle health, offering high-quality protein with exceptional bioavailability, essential vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, and satisfying nutrition that supports your overall health and well-being. If you're struggling with muscle loss, weakness, or declining physical function, I encourage you to evaluate your protein sources. Are you relying too heavily on processed supplements? Could incorporating more whole eggs into your daily routine provide the nutrition your muscles are craving? For most people, the answer is yes. Your body is remarkably capable of rebuilding and maintaining strength well into your later years, but it needs the right raw materials to do so. Give your body the complete nutrition of whole foods like eggs. Combine that with appropriate physical activity, and you might be surprised at how much strength and vitality you can reclaim. Thank you for watching. If you found this information valuable, please share it with friends or family members who might benefit from understanding these principles. Leave your questions and experiences in the comments below. I read every comment and love hearing how these changes are working for you. And remember, always consult with your personal healthcare provider before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you have existing health conditions or take medications. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.